This is Vishwas Narayan, and I'm deeply honored to have such a guest called as Abhijit Chatterjee serve on my podcast. And trust me, the amount of insights he gives about cyberspace, about the security in the Kubernetes, and also about the InfoSec jobs and a lot of things which are popping up these days as a trend. And trust me, I would love you guys to hear this podcast completely. Don't miss this podcast out. This is one of the masterpieces that I ever did because it's short, sweet, crisp, on point, and it says everything that you require today. And don't miss this entire podcast. Listen to this. And I think probably this is going to give you a lot of insights about what is this bounty hunting, the programs, and everything. Don't miss this podcast. Listen to this completely.
I had interest into cybersecurity from my college time only, and I used to do little bit of security stuff when I was in college. And that time also I got interested into programming. So it was not something that when chose CSC, it was not something that I actually wanted to become a computer science engineer, but I wanted to do electrical engineering. But I got into computer science somehow, and then when I got into this stream, then started having interest into computers programming, and that time I also attended one ethical hacking workshop, and that was something interesting for me because I got to know, okay, there is something called cybersecurity is also present. And that time I just bought my first laptop, so I was not much comfortable to the web, so I started having a good internet connections. Then I started using Google to do a lot of stuff, a little bit of searching from here and there. And I also we that time, like, it was a very kiddie stuff. Like, we used to build groups to hack like multiple sites, like mass defacing. Uh, at that time also I got introduced to one of my friends, and then we also started Hacktree. So at Hacktree, we first started as a hacking group, but later we thought to make some business out of it, and we started approaching to small web publishers and small web development companies, in like the agencies who are building web applications, and we tied up with them, and if we get some clients for the web applications, and we had clients, it was not a big business, but we had 30 to 35 paid customers. And that so our job was to do the security testing of their applications and give a report. So it was a very early stage, and when we started Hacktree, I think it was 7 8 years back, I think, more than 10 years back, 10 12 years back. And then when I passed out of college, and I like, it was a very premature stage of the cybersecurity at that time, like it was 2015, and people were not much in, like, the I felt that interest was growing, but you will, like, if you look, compare it with what is happening now and what was there in 2015, like, it has a lot of differences. And there are very few companies who are actually working in the cybersecurity, and like there was not much good opportunity. So I found myself uh, into a programming job as a software engineer in Bangalore, and I started working with startups. Then multiple startups I worked with, and while doing this software engineering, I already had some interest into security. I thought, why not go into security and do the infrastructure stuff. Then I started having interest into Kubernetes. And right, Kubernetes is like, it's like pretty much it is, if you look into the containerization, like, Kubernetes has market share of 95% to 96%. And it is also, it's a very new, I think 2016 or 17, by that time Kubernetes, people started adopting Kubernetes, 2016 mostly. And I started working with Kubernetes from 2017. So for me, that time I already got to know that this is something big, and probably this will lead the containerization or the future microservices. And then I joined with Embibe. So Embibe is now a Geo Embibe platform, and there I was handling the infrastructure, security. I was leading the team, and for me, the challenging task was to scale the platform, because when you are working with a consumer startup, that time your most challenging task is how you will scale the platform, because a lot of users are coming to your platform. And at the same time you have to take care of the security also, because you are dealing with the data. And so after Mvibe, I worked with multiple startups. I did consulting with like not only Indian, even some of the outside startups as well. And yeah, that's it. So I also worked with Wasp. I built one phishing plugin there, which will detect you if you are serving any phishing page or not. So that project was incubated by OWSP. And I also have some open source contributions. And definitely from my college time, not college time, when I was in final year, that time I was interested into bug bounty. And I also found bug to few of the bug bounty projects. One is the Brave browser, and few other also I participate into bug bounty.
Yeah, that's really fascinating because most of the times when we think of like computer science, they're like just type on the keyboard and just get the code working. But it's
Yeah,
beyond it. Sometimes you need to have the hardware knowledge, you need to have the software knowledge and the things like that. So
correct.
I wanted to ask this question because today we have multiple infrastructure, like we are going hybrid cloud and things like that. I want you to talk a little bit about the infrastructure security and also more of like approaches that they are taking today. Is it like really feasible according to you? What's it all about?
So if you look into the today's world and the how IT is evolving, so definitely we are going into a good direction. And like even if you compare at least 5 6 years back, people used to consider to have a monolithic architecture, and security was a very challenging task for you, because you have to maintain your OS completely. And a lot of issues will be there, but like you are actually dedicating a completely OS for your purpose, and when you are in a monolithic architecture. But with the time, when you are going into microservices or adopting containers, security is definitely feasible for you, because you have better control of your applications. And most of the time, if we talk about security, mostly the mismanagement from our end only. Like
Yeah.
if you have the better management of what you are doing, I think you can implement the best security. So even if you are talk about cloud, so before going into how your applications are secure or not, if you start adopting the best practices of the cloud journey, I think you will be going into the right direction. And so another thing is that when you are in on premise and you are moving into cloud, that migration is little bit challenging, definitely. So while doing that, so mostly you will end up with using some other services which is not feasible. But it's a challenging journey in terms of infra and security both.
Today's world, today's world is more of a kind of like, we have divided as dev and the ops team, and people don't communicate much nowadays. Like that's what
Yeah,
complain of many of the infrastructure architects and everybody really points out in any of the industrial talk or anything. Even if they talk generally, they talk like there is a miscommunication happening between teams and things like that. So I just wanted to know how to bridge the gap between the business model, the development, and also the process of securing those application, and everything is chained up. So I just wanted to know how to really manage that kind of an infrastructure, because tomorrow
correct.
we don't know what might
uh,
happen to the
right.
same old infrastructure that we are looking for today. New languages, new frameworks, new wrappers, whatnot.
Right. So right now I feel this gap is actually narrowing with the time, because in previously we used to have the DevOps, like developer operations, but going forward operations is actually fading away, and it is mostly your infrastructure is working with the APIs. And with adopting the SaaS applications, it mostly related to like infrastructure automation as a code. So it is so I have said in industry, people like the software engineer who used to build APIs for their platform, now they are coming into the infrastructure and they are building tools for the infrastructure. So that is also one kind of software engineering. And operations, like I don't see any future in the operations in coming days. Like it will be gone for sure.
Yeah, but also like how about this thing like new frameworks are coming up, new wrappers are coming up, and like company has that issue of how to migrate faster, how to adapt faster. So my question is like how to make sure that we securely adapt to a new infrastructure or else a new ecosystem of development. How is it possible? Like I just wanted to know from you.
Yeah, right. So when you are migrating to any other platform, or if you are taking any other paid service or any open source, so there are two things. You not only consider security, you also consider your business, like business outcome or what your business requirement. That is also a vital point. And I think you should build your applications or the security policies, whatever. You have to keep in mind that it should work in a hybrid environment. It should not be a specific cloud or specific applications. And before moving into any new platform, you first have to go through what are the features or what are the security modules they provide, and how your applications are going to work in that new platform. Like if you're using AWS or Azure, and they have very good guidance. Even if you talk about GCP, probably you can adopt them, or you integrate those policies with your pipeline. I think it will mostly help you. But in case of AWS itself gets compromised or Azure gets compromised, you have very little things to be done in your hand.
Yeah, also you have this Kubernetes pedia, which is also there from your side. You have been writing a lot and lot of things there. That's what I know about you. Like, I just wanted to know about the security aspect because as soon as you get inside this hacker one, sometimes Kubernetes pops up and says that, okay, there is an issue in this feature, there is an issue in that feature, and things like that. Like, has adopted it in such massive scale, like industry might not leave without it tomorrow. So I just wanted to know like what is the mess that we have created behind the security of all these kind of platforms. Like they're open source also,
Yeah.
anything can happen there. I just want you also to point upon some of the security aspects in the Kubernetes and also this open source thing that is coming up. Is it more secure? Was it just built for hackers like you who just want some free and open source tool, or what is it all about?
So, like if you build any applications or if you want any features, so definitely security is a concern there. Like more features you have, the more vulnerable you have. So that is a thing that we have to, like we have to agree on it, and then we have to start our journey with it. So like if you look into the Kubernetes as an open source platform also, like the you can easily get the code base available. And what makes Kubernetes vulnerable, because it is also having lot of features for you. Like the Kube API server, the Kubernetes API server, it actually maintains a clustered state. And if you have the access to the API server, you can make any changes in the cluster. But that's a flow from the security point of view. But it is also giving you flexibility. That is why people are adopting it. Like in terms of business cases, this is good. Kubernetes is scaling very fast. But while doing so, you have to also, like you have to agree on it that there are security flows, and it is better that you agree and then move on.
Yeah,
The
I
best
just
secure system is no system at all. That is the best secure system.
yeah, because a lot of the times when we talk about not just platforms like HackerOne or else Bugcrowd or anything, people always think of like, am I secure or something? Like today, everything can be tracked because everything
All
has
right.
as a kind of an everything runs on an API. Like everybody is streaming in data and like petaflops of data. Like there is huge amount of data which is also being created. I want you to just talk a little bit on this data and the security that we are actually facing because there is machine learning fairness,
Yeah.
machine learning which is also adapting like more of the secure technologies and also methodologies in which they were being deployed, and deployment the scale also requires a lot
Yeah.
of security. So I just want you to just throw some light on how is this data and the security more of an complexity today? Because nobody has understood what is this agreement. Nobody has understood what is this data that is going in inside the Google or else any platform that we are talking about. So
Right.
what is it all about today in terms of data?
Uh, yeah. So one trend you can see, like when I was active into HackerOne or Bugcrowd, like I used to get very few companies there. Only the top MNCs are participating into bug bounty. But if you look into today, even it's HackerOne is a full of companies. uh, like starting from the startup to a big billion-dollar companies also. Even the Indian startups are also registering themselves into HackerOne. So from that point of view, we understand the importance of the data privacy, and the new rules, uh, like think going forward it is going to be very tougher, because even if you talk about the advertising, like if you're browsing any website or anything, that cookie tracking is very like it was privacy issue, right? Now all the sites, they have to give you a notification if they want to read your cookie from that. And that is why all the advertising platform like Google or uh, any Zender or any other advertising platform, they are trying to go with the cookieless advertising. So you don't have to worry about the cookie, or you don't have to read what users are browsing or what is. So for example, you have a website and that advertising will happen based on the content of the website. Like if you're checking a website of the toys, and from that content all the advertising like ads will be pop up that is based on the toys only. So in that case, you would like the companies, they don't need to read your cookies or whatever you are storing in your browser. And if you talk about like the uh, what should I say, like India or any other uh, not a first world country, if you talk about third world or any other growing economy, so there is definitely data breach. Because if you want to follow the privacy, there is a lot of things you have to do. uh, just for a small example, if you're building a startup and if you're dealing with the user data, you should not store the user data in your database, but most of our companies are doing. Even India, Indonesia, Vietnam, if you just look into the growing startups, and probably if you look into the US startups, they are also doing it. But you are not going into their system and check what they are doing. And specifically if you talk about India, like we don't have any proper regulations in terms of data privacy, and that is why the breach is there. And like randomly I gets call from multiple people for advertising this, they are selling me this product, that product, but I'm not sure that where they got my mobile number. So it's pretty much everything is so public for you, and you don't have the control of it. And
Need
I
not
think
have to
government
be tuned also
should.
even today. Like
Right,
anything
yeah.
can be accessed. They can really fish you up and you don't even get to know that okay, you have actually transferred gigabytes of data
Correct,
also.
correct. I feel that like privacy is not present anymore. Like it's a very difficult to maintain the privacy. Like almost all your data is already public. At some point of time, I think something is about to leak or it's already leaked. Yeah, if you just go into the internet or if you go into the dark web, somewhere they have your info somewhere stored.
Yeah, OSINT tools have become so advanced in such a way that they know your every move on social media.
Correct.
You
Yeah,
need
yeah.
not have to put it as private or public. Somehow there is an access to all these information. So I just
Yeah,
wanted to
right.
know a little bit more about this cookie and this awesome tools that are making lot and lot of buzz today. Not like it was a buzz from a very long time. Like it's still an issue. Like websites can get down at any given point. Like big billion day need not have to happen also.
Right.
You if somebody can really DDoS your servers and they can say okay, this is getting overloaded or things like that. I just wanted to know like what is it going behind making an hacker. That's what I really wanted to know, because most of the people want to get inside this career but they don't know where to start with the fundamentals and what is it all about to get inside this infosec career. And also companies which need to really adapt this technology, what is it all about they require today?
Sure. So there is two things yeah, so I will talk about. So one is you want to build your career into InfoSec, that is one part, and another is you are interested to be a hacker, and they both are they are not very much related to each other, because first you have to start with the second one. Like if you look into the top hackers in the world, they are not like you will not find them that they are also professionally active into InfoSec, but as a passionate hacker they are doing this stuff, and probably they are into something else. Like if you look into top hackers, even I don't know them. Like the best hackers, you don't know who are the best hackers. Like they are working silently at some place and they are doing their work from that. Another is the InfoSec. That InfoSec journey is pretty much common, right? If you look into any other, like there are so many open source tutorials are there, and a lot of career like discussions are also there. You can find it in YouTube. Uh, that teaches you how, yeah, like what is the industry approach and what should be your approach to go into this InfoSec career. Like what are the things you should look into, and the basic policies that you need to check, the security issues that is already discovered, and what are the CVs for a particular, like if you look into the WordPress, so you have to see that what are the CVs for this WordPress has been released in past few days. And like this is the something, it is very open to the world, and you know what you are doing and others also know what you are doing. So that is something that you want to do something in your career. And the second one, if you want to really want to hack something, it is not always that you have to program something or you have to build some uh, very smart tool to do it. It can be anything. Like a phone call can hack anything. So if you look into the top hackers like Kevin Mitnick or any other social engineers, so it is not something that they are sitting in like in front of computer and they are doing some stuff, right? Just with a simple phone call also you can convince people. So you have to know how to convince other people. So that is also a good point to be a hacker. And if you look into the big hacks like Amazon or eBay, even the eBay, I think few years back one news came of the eBay hack. So that time also, like it was figured out later that it was because of the social engineering only. So you target only one person, and you make some malware and you infect his system or her system using malware. And when that person is connecting to other colleagues or in the office network, probably they are actually infecting other people as well. So this is how actually the big hacks happen. And yeah, it is very difficult to find that who is the what the hackers. Like you will not be knowing, like you know about the InfoSec researcher and the or cybersecurity analyst, but the actual hacker is very difficult to find out.
Yeah, but like, how about this company's adaptability for this kind of technology in the future? Like, can they really train an entire ecosystem of engineers whom they have right now? Or else, what is it? What should be their approach in order to get more secure in terms of their development process and their securing their ecosystem, everything related to it? What should companies move be according to you?
So it will not be possible to train all the people at a same time or at a first pick. So what you have to first do is first you have to make a proper system. Like it has to start from the IT, and the your in-house IT infrastructure should be secure. Like the system that you are accessing, the VPN that is you are connecting to your internal infra. So it should start from the IT only. And once that is perfectly done, once the user identity or user authentication is properly happening, like when your users are trying to connect to your internal system, because they have lot of privileges, and you have to take care of those issues as well, right? Like they have the access to the DB or some uh, very secret like Excel document or anything. So you have to first take care that how your own employees are connecting to the system. I think you can enforce a good IT security policy there. And like you can go for the ISO certifications, that is also good. You can start implementing ISMS policies to start with. So if you go with the ISMS policies, that will cover most of the ISO certification stuff. Or if it is required after doing the ISMS activities, you can go for the certification. So it will give you like IT level certifications. So you know that your in-house people are using your infra securely, but now the users who are the business users, so for that also you need to build the infrastructure tool. And sometimes we call the system analyst, security analyst, sorry. And you can build the security analyst. And another thing is that you have to take care how first you respond to a incident. So incident, it is very normal for the incidents to happen. And what is your data recovery strategy? You have if you talk about Kubernetes, you have the multiple clusters, and one cluster goes down or that cluster is infected, you have to move your traffic to another cluster. So how fast you can do that, and what is your data replication strategy? So you are moving your cluster, but your database is also there. Probably your containers are stateless. That is fine, you can run them in a different container. But what if your data gets corrupted, or if I'm trying to do any skill injection, how you are taking care of that entry in the database? So you have to take a lot of things there, like how the data replication is happening, what is your strategy to switch the traffic, and what is also the strategy of the backup. Most like sometimes what happen is that probably you have to dump the whole DB, and you have to restore it from the backup. And but you have the like you have some TBs of data, and if you want to restore it, it will take probably 2-3 days or probably more than that. But your users are not going to wait till 3, 4, or 5 days. They will go to some other competitor. So you have to think about how we can replicate one active data replications, and how you can back up your data properly, and what will be your disaster recovery strategy, and how fast you can respond to the incidents.
That's true. That's true. Because most of the time, when we think of engineering a solution, we probably are playing with the trade offs. And,
Right.
even today, engineering problem statements are like completely filled with some or other trade offs. Like, if you make it more secure, probably you have to compromise on the performance. If you want the performance, probably somewhere you are compromising with the security as well. So I just wanted to know, like, everybody has an hacker in them, like that mindset has to be there if you want to get the things
Right.
done. Okay, everybody needs that mindset, but what goes behind an hack? Like, what goes behind a threat that has been imposed on a website or anything? What is it all about? Because most of the time when we talk full stack developers, they talk too much of frameworks or that stack or this stack. But I want to really understand, like, what goes behind when an hacker imposes or else a security threat has been seen from any person. So what goes behind that?
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, the security things, like it is not limited until on like it is not limited to the website only. Even if you talk about the nuclear power station, or even if you talk about the aeroplane, anything can be hacked, and these are very critical issues. And we also even if you talk about like some, I think last year or 2 years back, some power outage happened in Mumbai, and it was because of attack from the Chinese hackers. So like entire city can be shut down, out of can be gone out of power. So like it has a lot of things to do. Even if you receive a threat of the security threats, or like sometimes we know that people are asking for the ransomware, like if you don't pay the ransomware, they will leak your data. But you have to take care of those threats seriously. Like it is as real as a mother threat, or any other like your physical threat. Like it is very real to that, and it can harm you in your physical aspect as well. Like it is not only limited to the website, like it can harm your day-to-day activities very actively. And and if you talk about the full stack developers and hacker mindset, so going forward, like I think development is not going to be limited only for the engineers. Like it's going to be a mandatory skill for any other person. uh, like a lot of tools are coming, lot of frameworks are coming. Like right now it is very easy for you. Like even if you want to build a POC, or you want to experiment with some tools, for you it will be very easy to build, because we have a lot of open source frameworks are available. So I feel that coding is not going to be limited for engineers, but everyone has to code at some point of time. Like it is already coming, and probably you have to wait for another 3 4 years. And and if what makes you a better engineer or hacker is how you improve your system. So one is you have some available libraries or frameworks are there, you are applying them, you are building your tools. But what makes you special is that how you can work on it and how you can improve those systems, like how you can improve a framework or how you can improve a library. And probably, yeah, you are like Kubernetes. Even if you talk about the Kubernetes only, like it is the open source project, but a lot of people are actually interested into Kubernetes. They are fixing the security issues, so it is one of the top open source projects you can say. So you have to also think about not only the limited issues that Kubernetes has, but how you can like breach other feature, like the new feature that is coming to the cluster, like how you can make another buffer overflow. So you have to think about from that point of view, how you can improve the existing system, or how you can break the existing system.
Thank you so much for this amazing insight about what is the security and what is this thing about not just infosec or not just devsecops or anything. Like there are a lot of other opportunities that are there in the world. Like we are adamant to the fact that we need to learn that and we need to get our hands dirty in order to get to know what is that technology all about. Sometimes
Yeah,
probably because of some things like, okay, you need to only work on this technology, that technology, probably we forget to explore something new. I think this podcast is going to give them an insight in such a way that there is something beyond what you hear. So just move ahead and get that knowledge. Thank you so much, sir.
yeah.
Thank you so much for this podcast.
Thank you, Vishwas. Thank you so much.